financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is I owe taxes. Dun, 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 dun. Jenny Lingl.
Hi, Ken. Good to be here today.
You're on the spot here because I owe taxes and I'm not a happy guy.
My favorite topic.
Brian Small, nice to see you.
Morning.
Everybody good? Family good?
Everybody.
No crisis is going on?
No crises at all.
Pat Savasco.
I just love being here.
All right. So, I owe taxes. Jenny, I'm going to give you several scenarios.
Sure.
Number one, case study. Bob and Sherry. I'm now Bob and Sherry. Shocked last week, they went to pick up their tax return and the accountant said, bad news, you owe $10,000 in taxes. Sherry's sobbing, Bob's ticked off. Of course, he's mad at the accountant. You know, that's the life of an accountant. Is if they get a refund, they like you, and if they owe taxes, it's the accountant's fault. But this is all part of the new tax act. They were under withheld. What do? They don't have $10,000.
So the first thing that they must do is file the return. The biggest mistake that people make is once they get that return back from the CPA or the accountant is they say,
just throw it in the drawer.
Yeah, I owe money, so I'm not going to file it. What that ends up being is a 25% failure to file penalty. So they could add an additional $2,500 to that $10,000.
Instantly. Becomes $12,500 in 5 months.
So it's, in 5 months. It's 5% per month. So what they need to do is file the return, and if they only owe for 1 year, they can attach the installment agreement form to the return and request a 72-month payment plan. They can do it either direct debit or mail in the checks, and then the IRS will also agree not to file a federal tax
Is
lien.
this something they do on their own, or do they call you?
Well, it depends. It sometimes can get tricky. Unfortunately, when they first started this, I thought it would be something that was simple, but I'm finding that the online tool to do this is often resulting in the federal tax lien being filed. And part of this is supposed to be the Fresh Start initiative. So what I'm doing more is getting on the phone, faxing it directly to people, and making sure they notate not to file.
Does
a
the accountant do that though? When you pick up the tax return, isn't the accountant?
If he knows how to do it.
Oh, he might not.
That's the problem. Accountants know how to do the return.
The
They don't
H&R
know-
Block lady
They don't
doesn't
know how to deal with the collection aspect
Gotcha.
of paying the tax.
So just to simplify.
You know why, Pat? Because the computer doesn't tell them how to do it.
That's the answer.
If you owe $10,000 for this tax year, you can literally just through a form set up a payment agreement over 72 months. It's going to pay it basically at $140 a month.
Or you can pay it quicker.
And you
get it
can
paid
You
off.
always
can
pay
pay
it
it
out
quicker,
quicker.
but
sounds
basically you
to me
can
that-
spread it out over 6 years.
To make sure it's done right, call you. You're not talking about a lot of time.
Correct. It's
a
just
1 hour
consultation.
you can take care of it.
Yeah, it's a couple hours because the problem is what's happening is people are trying to get these processed. They're not being processed, and they keep thinking that the ball's in the IRS's court, and then they end up with a lien or a levy,
Yeah,
even though they think they've done what
the
they should.
lien is a big problem. Now, we often joke and talk on the show about how the credit score isn't the most important thing in the world, but the credit score is still relevant, and you don't want to harm your credit score for no reason, and a lien being filed against you gets reported to the credit reporting agencies and is not a good thing. So you want to be careful with it to make sure it's done the correct
Right, and
way.
the next thing that they should do is if, we're still in April here, if they've just picked up their return, is change their withholding so they don't owe again for 2019 taxes.
Hopefully the accountant tells them to do that.
Right, but it's something that they absolutely must do because the installment agreement will actually default if you owe again for the next year, and then the technicality is that you don't qualify for a streamlined agreement.
And here's a very
Well, that's
common,
you got to be real careful then.
Here's a common problem that results from that. You owe for 1 year and you hide from it. And then you haven't fixed it, and now you owe for the second year. And now you've got to fix it, which means that you've got to be in a payment agreement with the service, and it's a big number. But especially if you're self-employed, now you're paying back taxes, but you're trying to figure out where to come up with the money to pay the forward taxes.
What's the interest rate they charge?
It's the federal rate. It's
Right now
pretty
it's
low
low.
rate.
Is it like 18% or
No,
20%?
no, it's
No?
like,
It's not like a credit card.
It's like 3%.
Oh, that's it.
3.5%.
Good.
If we ever get into the real high inflation times, when we get back up into 12%, and then the Fed rate gets to like 7%, then the interest rate is high. But right now, the Fed rate is so much lower than the credit card rate. It's a better deal.
Those IRS, they really take care of people, don't they?
When you don't pay your taxes on time, you're subject to a 0.5% penalty per month plus interest. But
That's
if you take,
what it is.
but
It's the
that-
penalty.
But that's only a 0.5%. If you take that 0.5% per month plus the Fed rate, it's still less than half of the interest rate you pay on credit card debt.
So don't put the tax on the credit card.
Well, there's a flip side to that. If you put the tax on the credit card and you pay it off, and then you come in and you do debt resolution and get rid of the credit card debt, there can be a benefit.
But interestingly, if you pay your
All depends
taxes,
if you meet the criteria.
if you pay your tax obligation on a credit card, you've turned your obligation from a dischargeable debt eventually of income taxes, because income taxes are dischargeable in bankruptcy, to a non-dischargeable event.
In bankruptcy.
In bankruptcy.
But it's not that, but there's a distinction. If you do debt resolution outside of bankruptcy,
You're not
you can
doing a
credit
bankruptcy.
you can settle that credit card debt for
pennies on the dollar.
35 cents on the dollar, and it's not bankruptcy, so you don't have the non-dischargeability issue.
It's
So you
true
need a
statement.
plan when it comes to doing that. You don't just want to do it ad hoc, but you can plan out carefully. But going back to what we were just saying now, if you're one of the victims of the new tax act that says all of a sudden you have a tax bill, you should call Jenny and make sure that you get into the payment plan the right way so that you don't end up with a lien on the house. You adjust your withholding so that you don't have the problem next year, so you don't default the streamline agreement, then you move on. All right, next case study. Rich and Lisa, soon to be married, but Rich has a tax problem. He owes income taxes from 2013, 14, and 15 for 50 grand. 2016 he owes 10 grand. 2017 he owes 10 grand. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to know, what should Lisa do about Rich's tax problem?
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. Rich and Lisa. So Lisa loves Rich. She's going to get married to him, but Rich I gave you his income tax problem. He also has a $100,000 payroll tax liability that he owes from a failed restaurant that went out of business.
I got one question.
Yeah.
How good looking is he? Because you know he's got to be the best looking guy for her to walk into.
Rich is very good looking.
Very good looking.
Unfortunately, what often
And
happens,
he's a super nice guy.
But Mom, I love him. He's so great.
you know, oftentimes people aren't aware of these until they're
Oh, he's
almost
not telling her?
almost to the altar, or they're too far into.
Sometimes not
It's
till
not
after.
usually the first date conversation that you have. Well, the first thing
You know,
is
on that point, I've seen it more often where Lisa doesn't learn about it until they're already married.
Right.
Is that?
And you know where that especially happens? It especially happens in second marriages. I find that people come in to see me, they've been married for 20 years, but because they are in a second marriage,
They're going through first marriage, they're now going to the second and saying, what point is there in being forthright and honest?
When
with
did
my
you
new
tell your
spouse?
wife? When did you tell your
Maybe
wife?
she
that's
knows
more-
everything.
You know what, Brian?
No,
Maybe
but
that's
no.
more so because sometimes the second marriage comes later in life, whereas when you get married
Right.
younger, you don't
Well,
have.
what I was saying is that comes from the fact that they tend to keep their finances separate. A lot of second relationships, they have a joint checking account
Well,
that
if
they
you
work
keep
together,
them-
but they keep their finances
now you're
separate.
asking on the biggest question that I had here to go to Jenny is, okay, if they get married, does this tax liability become Lisa's first question is, do I now owe these taxes?
You have to be careful how you answer that question. Michigan is not a community property state, so the answer is here, no, she doesn't. If you live in a community property state, then it can become a problem. They could actually attach half of Lisa's wages and assets.
So like in California, she marries Rich, it becomes her liability as well?
Well, it's not technically her liability, but they can levy her
Their assets.
paycheck and her assets because of
I
the stretch.
just have to. In reality, he's gonna get her to pay that debt no matter what. If her parents die and she inherits any money, he's gonna get that money.
No. We're not
He is gonna get
we're,
that money.
So the first thing that we're going to
He's gonna get it. Those parents better watch out.
So the
But
first,
they can do that. They can protect that with
You're
a
damn
proper
right
type
they
of a
can.
trust.
You're going
right?
to make sure your
You're
daughter
damn
does
right
not
they
marry a
can.
Rich, is what you're saying.
So the first question after she finds out whether or not she's going to be liable is it's going to be, should we file married filing joint or married filing separate? And that depends.
Right on this, let me give the one fact. She has no tax issues.
Mm-hmm.
She's making $100,000 a year, and she's expecting a refund on her return that she's about to file for $5,000. If she files married filing joint with Rich, is her refund going to go away?
Well, so she's expecting a $5,000 refund, but if Rich is owing each and every year and she goes to file married filing jointly, there might not be a refund. There might be a small liability. So what we have to look at is what's the married filing separate and what's the married filing joint liability. Now, if there is a refund and it's due to Lisa's income and withholding, then she would attach what they call an injured spouse claim to the return that says, I want my portion of the refund to come directly to me. I don't want it to be applied to my husband's back tax issue.
So this is somewhat of a complicated issue then. So in the situation where Lisa has to make a decision, do I file married filing separate or for married filing joint? And if I do that, I have to fill out this form and make application for injured spouse to protect my refund. Lisa's not going to be able to figure that out on her own, and most accountants aren't going to be able to figure that out because they don't deal with that. That's something in a situation where they need to talk to someone like Jenny, who knows exactly how to do that, and you need to really make that decision process before you file the return. So you got to be careful.
Right, because when you file the return married filing joint, you can never amend to do married filing separate.
You can't go backwards.
Right, if you file married filing separate, you can amend for
While
3
you
years.
can get married and then get divorced and become single, you can't file joint and then undo it and become married filing separate. Little point of order there. All right, so let's talk now about Rich. Rich's current income is only $50,000 a year. He has credit card debt of $100,000. He has this payroll tax liability of $100,000, and he owes income taxes $50,000 from 13, 14, and 15, 10 from 16, 10 from 17. What are we going to do to clean Rich up so that Lisa doesn't throw him out of the house?
So the first thing that's...
Get him a haircut.
So we Rich. Get him a haircut.
Get him a haircut. Or it's a combination.
Wait, Rich is very good looking.
Well,
Pat established
what's
that.
going to happen is usually Rich and Lisa would be in my office, and the first thing that I would take to after going through their full situation and deciding out how they're going to file for that year is I'd be looking at whether or not, because in addition to tax liability, Rich also has $100,000 in credit card debt. So I'd be looking to see if whether I can put him into a Chapter 7 bankruptcy to get rid of some of this, which means I would usually be buzzing Brian to come down to my office to handle part of this.
So this
So
is
here-
like drum
here's-
roll for
so
Brian.
this is
So
a-
what do we do in this
This is
situation,
a two-part
Brian?
process. It isn't magically getting fixed with the snap of the fingers. What's going to happen here is that we're going to assess Bob for a bankruptcy. Now,
Rich.
Excuse me, Rich for a bankruptcy.
The outline
And
says Bob,
I understand.
but it's Rich.
So Rich actually will qualify based on what the facts are for a bankruptcy, even if he made $200,000 a
But
year.
what about releases $100,000 of income?
I don't care.
Because?
Because the majority of Rich's debt is non-consumer debt.
Which is,
Well, that includes business debt, in other words, his
Payroll
tax
taxes.
liability for payroll, his
Income taxes.
tax obligations for the prior years,
and those total,
$170,000, and he
his-
had $100,000 worth of consumer debt.
so he's
When
good.
your consumer debt is less than your non-consumer debt, you can qualify for a Chapter 7 in spite of your income.
So that's
So
assuming
Rich
there's
can
no...
file, Lisa doesn't have to file.
Correct.
Okay, so
that's only
Rich-
going to fix part of the problem. It's going to eliminate the income tax obligations because they're more than 3 years old.
We're coming to a break. I want you to explain when we get back from the break how Rich is able to get rid of his income tax liability with the bankruptcy, because I didn't think that's how it worked.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, 93.5, 98.3, and 99.9 FM, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. Also on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $50 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, pop in your name, and you're entered. It's a great deal. Be sure and take advantage of it. Also, when you go to do that, Like us on Facebook, and also Google us and give us a review if you can. Just go to Google, put in THAV GROSS, pop in what you have to say. We'd really appreciate it. Got seminars coming up. On Wednesday, May 29th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., Estate Planning 101, The Absolute Essentials. This is a nuts and bolts seminar on what you need to know about an estate plan and what are the components and how you go about accomplishing that goal. Basic elements of an estate plan, documents you need while living, making sure you have assets, your assets go where you want them to go upon your demise, how to avoid probate, and what you need to know about probate if you get involved in it. Attendees get a gold certificate worth $300 off the cost of an estate plan. Just sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Then on Wednesday, June 12th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., debt relief seminar called Debt Free is a Grand Slam to Win. Nothing is better. We're going to talk about all the methods we use to preserve future income for you and your family, how to eliminate debt using bankruptcy, how to eliminate debt outside of bankruptcy. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Jenny Lingl is going to participate and do a special segment on how to resolve tax issues. Great seminar. Be sure and take advantage and sign up for it. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. And I want you to remember you can always come in to THAV GROSS for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website lawandreality.com or thavgross.com and click on the appropriate links and we'll contact you to schedule your consult. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jenny, estate planning issues with Brian, elder law issues with Pat, business law issues with myself, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. All you got to do is pop onto the website, call, take advantage of a free consult. Free consults are not meet and greets. We analyze your problem, come up with the solution, tell you what it'll cost to resolve the problem and what the next steps are to take. Also, go to the website for free reports. Brand new report, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions, written by Jenny Lingl and myself. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit, and the Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasco. They're all available on the website. Just download and click the link, and they'll be sent to you. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasco Law, Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, so we're back. So, Rich, you're saying to me, I hear all the time you can't file bankruptcy if you owe taxes.
So income tax obligations are dischargeable in bankruptcy. The rule is simple. Did your taxes come due at least 3 years ago? Have they been filed for at least 2 years? And have you been assessed in the last 8 months?
All right,
if
so
you haven't been assessed in the last 8 months, you filed them more than 2 years ago, and they came due at least 3 years ago, the tax, subject to some exceptions, is dischargeable.
All right, so that could take care of Rich for his 2013, 14, and 15, $50,000 worth of taxes?
It'll take care of the 13, 14, and 15, 50,000. 16, 17, and 18 are less than.
He doesn't know for 18.
But those years came due 3 years ago or less. All right, because 16 came due in 17.
So he can't discharge those.
Right, and he can't discharge the payroll taxes. So Rich is going to come out of this, out of a bankruptcy, having eliminated $50,000 worth of income taxes and $100,000 worth of credit card debt. So it's a big plus because no matter what tax relief program that we put Rich into, even if we could just do whatever Jenny can do, it's not going to erase the $100,000 in credit cards.
Lisa is now $150,000 happier than she was a few minutes ago, but she's not happy because she wants to know about the $100,000 payroll tax liability and the liability for 16 and 17 for the income taxes of $20,000. Until Lisa hears that you have a plan to get rid of the $120,000 remaining liability, this marriage is in danger.
Well, are they married already, or are they about to get married?
Either way.
Okay, if they're about to get married, there's more opportunities than if they and it's not
That's
as
not
complicated.
necessarily true, Brian, because the issue is not just if they're married, it's whether they're living together. So where we're going next is he's come out of the bankruptcy, and we're
This is
looking
Peyton Place in
to
Texas.
the
It's all
offer
right.
and compromise
This
options.
is going to be the new Netflix
Right. Yeah.
movie.
Right. So you did the bankruptcy. How do you solve the rest of the tax
the
file?
issue is
in 2 minutes.
if they're living together, it doesn't necessarily matter whether they're married or separated, because when there are adults in the house, they look to who's contributing. So if they're both on the lease or they're both on the mortgage, then we still have to apportion the income, because the IRS will do a search to see who's living in the home.
Hey, come on, give me to the answer. How are we going to get rid of this tax?
It looks to me that he's going to be a pretty easy offer and compromise, as long as he's not living in his parents'
Do
basement.
you have to use Lisa's income against that?
I do. So what I have to do with Lisa's income, though, is only for shared expenses. And likely the only shared expense that they're going to have is the housing and utilities.
All right, so
he'll
give me
take
the
a lower
bottom line. What's it
percentage.
going to cost to get rid of this tax?
Based on, it looks like he has no assets and only $50,000 in gross income, he might qualify for an offer and compromise of $100.
All right, so here's the big point. We use the bankruptcy to get rid of the $100,000 of credit card debt, the tax liability from the early years, 14, 15, and 16.
13, 14, and 15. But
So
yes.
it got rid of $150,000 worth of debt. We use an offer and compromise to get rid of the $100,000 of payroll tax plus the liability for the last couple of years. Okay, and it works.
Yes,
And
he
it's
has
not
to
going to
stay.
cost a lot to do that.
No,
I got one question. I have to
Now
ask it.
Lisa's going to be
Wait,
happy.
no,
Wedding
I have
bells
one
are-
question.
no,
wedding
because
bells.
Wait,
he's got to
here's
be
the
current for
question.
5
Go ahead.
years.
If you wipe out all of Rich's debt, all of it, what's the chance Rich marries Lisa?
You said Rich was very good looking.
What's
You
the
didn't know
chances?
Lisa is absolutely a knockout
The
as well.
chances Rich is going to marry Lisa. Who says yes?
You're
they're
not the
already
guy
married.
who's been
What does that have to
divorced. You're the guy who's happily married. You're being a skeptic.
Oh, I am such a
This
skeptic.
is because they love each other. They found each
That's
other.
because Lisa never went out with me.
We have we have a glitch in the romance because of the taxes. It's not the motivator for Rich.
Who
She's
says Rich marries Lisa?
Next week on the dating game.
Rich is going to marry Lisa? Jenny, what's going to happen here?
They're married already, or they're getting married.
They're not getting divorced. They're both going to be happy because they've gotten rid of the credit card debt. They've gotten rid of the payroll tax debt. They've gotten rid of the income tax debt. They now have $150,000 of income going forward.
And Jenny's
zero
invited
debt.
to the wedding.
Everything is rosy. Everything is good because they took the right action at the right time. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.